Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances of Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances to all glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. How are you all doing? Sorry, I've been missing many classes.
We are good. I'm just letting you know we are on YouTube live.
Oh,
Since 2 days we have been doing this. So instead of recording the classes, we are directly putting them on YouTube live.
oh, that's good. Yeah, so should we start or?
Yeah, we can start. I think Ruchi Mataji is on the call.
Oh, Ruchi Mataji, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, we will start and see if Mataji would like to read some verses today. So, Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatho Jayam Virayat Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki. Hare Krishna, Govardhan Lila Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept mine to Mataji. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. Sorry, I'd been missing many classes this week, so I'd been meeting all of you as well. So happy to be back today.
Well, we always miss you. I wish you could always be on class with us, you know?
Yes, Mataji, I also feel like that. So today we are reading chapter 33, verses 1 to 3.
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to read, Mataji, one verse?
Okay. Okay, so you've done the prayers already?
Yes, Mataji. We finished the prayers. We're just starting the verse now. Thank you.
Uvacha evam nishamya kapilasya vacho janitri sakadamasya daita kila deva huti visrasta mohapatalatam abhipranamya tushtava tattva vishayan kita siddhibhumin. Translation and purport. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Maitreya said, thus Devahuti, the mother of Lord Kapila and the wife of Kardama Muni, became freed from all ignorance concerning devotional service and transcendental knowledge. She offered her obeisances unto the Lord, the author of the basic principles of the Sankhya system of philosophy, which is the background of liberation. And she satisfied him with the following verses of prayers. Okay. There's some background noise. Please mute your phone if you're not reading. That would be real helpful. Thank you so much. The system of philosophy enunciated by Lord Kapila before his mother is the background for situation on the spiritual platform. The specific significance of this system of philosophy is stated herein as Siddhi Bhumi. It is the background of salvation. People who are suffering in this material world because they are conditioned by the material energy can easily get freedom from the clutches of matter by understanding the Sankhya philosophy enunciated by Lord Kapila. By this system of philosophy, one can immediately become free, even though one is situated in this material world. That stage is called Jivan Mukti. This means that one is liberated even though one stays with his material body. That happened for Devahuti, the mother of Lord Kapila, and she therefore satisfied the Lord by offering her prayers. Anyone who understands the basic principle of Sankhya philosophy is elevated in devotional service and becomes fully Krishna conscious or liberated even within this material world. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for reading. Antaranga Seva, Mataji, would you like to read the next verse?
Yeah, okay, Mataji.
Thank you.
Just a minute. देवहूतिरुवाच अथापि यजो अनन्तसलीले शयनं भूतेन्द्रियार्थात्ममयं वपुस्ते गुणप्रवाहं सदशेषबीजं दधयो स्वयं यज्झतरब्जजातः. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Devahuti said, Brahma is said to be unborn because he takes birth from the lotus flower which grows from your abdomen while you lie in the ocean at the bottom of the universe. But even Brahma simply meditated upon you, whose body is the source of unlimited universes. Purport. Brahma is also named Aja, he who is unborn. Whenever we think of someone's birth, there must be a material father and mother, for thus one is born. But Brahma, being the first living creature within this universe, was born directly from the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as the Garbhodakshai Vishnu. The Vishnu form lying down in the ocean at the bottom of the universe. Devahuti wanted to impress upon the Lord that when Brahma wants to see him, he has to meditate upon him. You are the seed of all creation, she said. Although Brahma was directly born from you, he still has to perform many years of meditation. Even then, he cannot see you directly, face to face. Your body is lying within the vast water at the bottom of the universe, and thus you are known as the Garbhodakshai Vishnu. The nature of Lord's gigantic body is also explained in this verse. That body is transcendental, untouched by matter. Since the material manifestation has come from his body therefore existed before the material creation. The conclusion is that the transcendental body of Vishnu is not made of material elements. The body of Vishnu is the source of all other living entities as well as the material nature, which is also supposed to be the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Devahuti said, "You are the background of material manifestation and all created energy. Therefore, your delivering me from the clutches of Maya by explaining the system of Sankhya philosophy is not so astonishing. But your being born from my abdomen is certainly wonderful, because although you are the source of all creation, you have so kindly taken birth as my child. That is most wonderful. Your body is the source of all the universe, and still you put your body within the abdomen of a common woman like me. To me, that is most astonishing."
Thank you, Mataji. Ruchi Mataji, are you on the call? Would you like to read a verse? Okay, I'm not sure if she's able to hear me. So I will read the last verse, text 3. स एव विश्वस्य भगवान् भवान् विद्धे गुणप्रवाहीन विभक्तवीर्या सर्गादि अनेहो अवितथा विसन्धिर् अमेश्वर्यो स्वरो तार्क्या सहस्रशक्ति. Translation. My dear Lord, although personally you have nothing to do, you have distributed your energies into the interactions of the material modes of nature, and for that reason, the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation takes place. My dear Lord, you have self determined and are the Supreme Personality of Godhead for all living entities. For them, you created this material manifestation, and although you are one, your diverse energies can act multifariously. This is inconceivable to us. Purport. The statement made in this verse by Devahuti that the absolute truth has many diverse energies, although he personally has nothing to do, is confirmed in the Upanishads. There is no one greater than him or on an equal level with him, and everything is completely done by his energy, as if by nature. It is understood herein, therefore, that although the modes of material nature are entrusted to different manifestations like Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, each of them is particularly invested with different kinds of power. The Supreme Lord is completely aloof from such activities. Devahuti is saying, although you personally are not doing anything, your determination is absolute. There is no question of your fulfilling your will with the help of anyone else besides yourself. You are, in the end, the Supreme Soul and the Supreme Controller. You will therefore cannot be checked by anyone else. The Supreme Lord can check others' plans. As it is said, man proposes and God disposes. But when the Supreme Personality of Godhead proposes, the desire is under no one else's control. He is absolute. We are ultimately dependent under no one. We are ultimately dependent on Him to fulfill our desires. But we cannot say that God's desires are also dependent. That is His inconceivable power. Then that which may be inconceivable for ordinary living entities is easily done by him. And in spite of his being unlimited, he has subjected himself to being known from the authoritative scriptures like the Vedic scriptures. As it is said, Shabda Mulatvat. He can be known through the Shabda Brahma or Vedic literature. Why is the creation made? Since the Lord is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, For all living entities, he created this material manifestation for those living entities who want to enjoy or lord it over material nature. For the Supreme Godhead, he arranges to fulfill their various desires. It is confirmed also in the Vedas, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. The Supreme One supplies the necessities of the many living entities. There is no limit to the demands of the different kinds of living entities. There is no, what? Sorry, I think. There is no limit to the demands of the different kinds of living entities, and the Supreme One, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, alone maintains them and supplies them by his inconceivable energy. Okay, so we were supposed to cover these 3 verses for today. Actually, I was thinking that I have missed a lot of previous classes. So I just thought that for 1 or 2 minutes, we can quickly go back and then read the summarization of a few of the verses from the previous chapter before we can actually start with this chapter. So I just thought that I will read from this Unveiling His Lotus Feet, Gurjan Prabhu's book. It's just like a paragraph or two before we get to today's verses. So actually, it kind of summarizes the previous chapters, because for many chapters, Devahuti has been asking questions. She's feeling like an ordinary person. And she is asking many questions so that actually ordinary people like us can benefit. But just like in today's verses, Devahuti is expressing her own bewilderment, saying that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and you have taken birth from my womb, just like an ordinary child. So we can actually understand the status of Kartama Muni and Devahuti. They were not ordinary human beings like one of us. They were very exalted devotees. But she was only asking all these questions so that people like us who are trying to become Krishna conscious can actually benefit from those questions. Just like so many different kinds of topics about creation, about devotional service, like so many topics have been covered. So in the last few verses, Kapiladev is almost summarizing all his teachings together. So I thought that we can just go over them a little before we can start for today's discussion. So the last few verses from the previous chapter summarize as follows. He says, Kapiladev now offers I don't know what this is, caveat to his teachings. His instructions is not meant for the envious, for the agnostics, or for persons who are unclean in their behavior, nor is it for hypocrites or for persons who are proud of material possessions. It is not to be instructed to people who are too greedy and too attached to family life, nor to persons who are non devotees and who are envious of the devotees and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Instruction should be given to the faithful devotee who are respectful to the spiritual master, non-envious, and friendly to all kinds of living entities, and eager to render service with faith and sincerity. This instruction should be imparted by the spiritual master to persons who have taken the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be more dear than anything, who are not envious of anyone, who are perfectly cleansed, and who have developed detachment for that which is outside the purview of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada's extensive purport to text 42 explains how we can advance in Krishna consciousness. And then there are like 6 points that Prabhupada is giving. So he is actually talking about how we should serve a devotee, how we should serve the holy name, and then the spiritual master, um, and then a few other points before the last line to paraphrase everything. So he says that the spiritual master should train his disciple in such a way so that in the future only the Supreme Personality of Godhead will be the dearmost goal of his life. Then he says that Kapila Munis concludes with the benediction: anyone who once meditates upon me with faith and affection, who hears and chants about me, surely goes back home, back to Godhead. Actually, when I read this conclusion, I was also thinking about the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, that Lord Krishna is saying that just give up all other attachments and surrender unto me. And here Kapila Dev is actually saying the same thing. He's actually giving everybody a benediction and saying that, just meditate upon me with faith and affection, and then you'll come back to me. So hearing this, I mean, I'm sure all of us get a lot of hope that, one day we will get there. One day we will be able to actually give up our attachments by the help of chanting the holy name, serving devotees, taking guidance from our spiritual master, getting the association of devotees. So actually, all of these help us to reach this stage of bhakti where we can actually sit and meditate. Even if not sit and meditate, but in the last moments of life, we can actually remember Krishna. So I just also want to read another paragraph from today's verses from the same book. So here he's saying, Devahuti's questions have been answered by Kapila Muni's explanation of Sankhya philosophy. She has understood that the Lord, her son, is the source of all, and that devotional service to him is both the means to attain him and the goal. The burning fire of Devahuti's ignorance has been extinguished. Devahuti now offers Kapila her obeisances as well as prayers in which she expresses her realization, all of which satisfy Kapila Dev. Devahuti says, unborn Brahma has taken birth from your lotus flower, growing from your navel, and that powerful entity then meditated on you, the source of unlimited universes. Although you personally are not doing anything, your determination is absolute. There is no question of your fulfilling your will with the help of anyone besides yourself. You are in the end the supreme soul and the supreme controller. Your will, therefore, cannot be checked by anyone else. So, we are actually seeing in today's verses that this is almost the conclusion of Kapila Dev's pastimes, and because his main advent on this planet is actually to propagate Sankhya philosophy. And by this chapter, he has actually given all his knowledge to Devahuti. And now Devahuti is actually glorifying her son, understanding that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, in the case of Mother Yashoda, she never understood that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because her affection was so great for him that it actually superseded everything else. But in the case of Devahuti, the rasa is a little different, because she's actually able to understand that Kapila Dev is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and she's actually offering prayers and obeisances unto her son. So she is actually saying that um, it's only through devotional service that one can reach you. And without that, nobody can actually satisfy you, although one may be, offering many different prayers or anything, but without performing devotional service, one cannot actually attain your two lotus feet. And then she says that um, people who are engaged in devotional service, this is the word that Prabhupada uses. He says Jivan Mukti is that although they may be living like an ordinary person in this material world, but they're actually liberated. And we actually know from the example of Srila Prabhupada, although if we see in his life, we will see that he went through so much hardship. Like he had absolutely no support. Like even when he was he was past 60 years old when he was actually trying to print his books, and then he was not eating any breakfast because he wanted to save that money to buy paper for printing. And then he was also like, there were times when he had sunstroke and he fell down because he was not eating properly, and then he was just walking on the streets of Delhi. So we would, and like although he had children and wife, nobody actually supported his mission. So when we see things like this, we may also feel like he's one among us, he's going through so many hardships. But actually, these transcendentalists, they actually come to this world to show us by their example that despite the hardships that they are put in, they have never given up in seeking the lotus feet of Krishna. No matter what hardship they are going through, in their heart they're always thinking about Krishna. Actually, I remember like sometime back, I was asking Preeti Mataji, because Preeti Mataji is one such devotee I know who's always doing something or the other. And then she's just so tired that as soon as she sits, she falls asleep because her body is just so tired of the continuous services she's doing, taking care of their grandchildren and her children, her grandchildren, and doing services at the temple, Krishna lunch, like so many different things. And then so one day I went to her and I asked her that, Mataji, how are you actually continuing all this? Because I have seen that even like during Sundanitai's and Shirupa's wedding, there was this big catastrophe. Like the whole, I would say, it was a situation where like the whole temple was flooded. Our the basement of the temple was flooded, and there's no water, and like it was a really difficult situation. And then we were even contemplating whether we should postpone the marriage, but then she always had the smile on her face, and then she would just keep going, and then somehow nothing had to be postponed and everything went on as planned. It's because she put in also a lot of effort along with other people, but she took the lead. So when I asked her that how do you do all this, she said that I might be doing all of this, but I'm always remembering the Lord, and then I'm always praying to him to give me the strength to do this. And then she was saying that I always tell others that they should not be like this, because if somebody is not praying, then they will not have the strength to do this kind of service. So when she said this, then I was actually thinking that even like amongst devotees we know, like there are so many people who are actually constantly taking shelter of Krishna, and we can learn through their example. We can learn by associating with devotees like that how to serve the Lord in a mood of service, because the mood behind the service is most important. I may be doing a lot of service, going up and down morning to evening. But if the mood is a mood of passion, just thinking that, okay, other devotees will see, oh, what a great devotee I am, then that's not the proper mood. The mood is always to please the Lord, and the mood is always to um, see for ourselves how we are taking shelter of Krishna. Because the whole process of devotional service is to take shelter. That's the conclusion of Devahuti. She's saying that only through devotional service we can seek your lotus feet. And that's exactly what devotional service, the goal is, that we should constantly take shelter in every little activity we are performing, to take shelter of the Lord. And if that purpose is not being met, then the service becomes material. Then there is the devotional aspect of the service is lost. So moving to the next verse, she is actually saying that Brahma is unborn. He's said to be unborn because she says unborn definition is that they're not born from a material father and mother. He's born from the lotus of Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And then she says that even such an exalted devotee like Lord Brahma, he has to meditate for thousands of years to be able to get a glance of you, to be able to see you. So she is only describing how great her son is, which is actually true. Actually, Prabhupada used to always say that Krishna is very great, but we don't know how great he is. So actually that is one of the opulences of Krishna, that he's inconceivable, like we cannot conceive his opulences. And Devahuti is saying the same thing, that although he is creating universes from the pores of his body, like when sweat comes from our body, we don't even pay any attention to it. And then what about from the gigantic body of Lord Vishnu? Universes and universes are coming out of the pores of his body. And then she's saying that although you're creating all of this just by your will, you're not touched by any of this. You're not touched by any of these material elements. You're transcendental to all of this. And then she's saying that you're so great, but still, like an ordinary child, you are taking birth from my womb. And I'm so perplexed just to think about this, that how is such a thing happening, that from my womb such, the absolute personality or the supreme personality of God has taken birth like an ordinary child. She's not able to conceive it. So then in the last verse, she's saying that it's kind of connected to the previous verse, because she's saying that, my dear Lord, although personally you have nothing to do, you have distributed your energies in the interactions of material modes. So actually what she says is that Krishna is so kind that he's actually distributed all his energies and he's created this entire cosmic manifestation just for his devotees, or not, I will not say devotees, just for the living entities who have turned away from him. Even to them, he wants to give a chance so that they can actually come back to him and again enjoy the bliss and the happiness that they are actually destined to enjoy. It's just that they have made this mistake and then they have come to this material world thinking that they can lord it over and that they can actually become more happy. But it is not true, because without Krishna, there is no happiness in this material world. Not just in this material world, in no other place, like even in the heavenly planets or any place, the happiness is only temporary. And even that happiness is not full. Like we may be feeling happy, but in the same time we may be feeling that, oh, this is not going to last forever, this is just going to go in no time. So the happiness is not complete. There is always a void in our heart, thinking that, not people might not even know what that void is about. And that's why we are trying to fill that void in so many different ways, trying this, trying that, but nothing is actually working. The void can only be filled when one is performing devotional service. Actually, I remember in one of our classes, my sister was actually sharing about Sachinandan Maharaj's class. So he was saying that in our heart we actually have a void which is in the form of Krishna. And she was saying that when we are actually performing devotional service, that void in our heart in the form of Krishna is slowly getting filled. So here Devahuti is finally concluding her sorry, I mean, just in this verse, I mean, there are many other verses to go, but in this verse number 3, she is concluding and saying that you are completely independent and your desires are completely independent. So whatever you desire, there is nobody to actually object it, because people, like for living entities, Krishna is above them. Therefore, they may think to do something, but then if Krishna doesn't sanction it, then it doesn't happen. But for Krishna, there is nobody to sanction above him. So he is the ultimate authority, and he has he can do anything and everything he wants. And then she says that the Supreme One supplies the necessities for many living entities. There is no limit to the demands of the different kinds of living entities, and the Supreme One, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, alone maintains them and supplies by his inconceivable energy. So we all know we have like 8.4 million species, and all these different species have different needs, they have different desires. And then Krishna, he is so easily actually providing for all of those living entities. Actually, I was thinking about this, that if a mother, like we have read this previously also, in the previous chapters, like Prabhupada was explaining how when the child is born, the mother and the father, they don't know how to take care of the child is hungry, they're putting him to rest, or the child is actually, he wants something, they're giving something else, because they don't know. But in the case of Krishna, because he is also the super soul in everyone's heart, he exactly knows the desires of all those living entities, all those species of life. So he doesn't really have to be thinking like, oh, what does he want, what is he showing us? And then he doesn't need to speculate and think that, oh, maybe he wants this, or maybe he wants that. He knows for sure what's their heart's desire is, and then he supplies all of them without any difficulty. And that Devahuti is saying is it's very inconceivable for her. It's not just for her, but if we think, we all might be having the same kind of questions, that how is it even possible that we have actually depending on the weather, depending on the place we live, if we see like everything, the flora, the fauna, everything changes. So Krishna knows exactly what people in their need, and he supplies all of those to meet their desires actually. So I will end here, and then I will see if anyone else would like to add or correct me, or like to share any of the stories or realizations. So please share. Oh, Hare Krishna, Dheera Shanta Mataji, welcome.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for the wonderful class. It was really very nice, eye-opening. I don't want to add anything. I just understood that whatever we are hearing, learning, the purpose is to surrender, to understand who the Lord is, to surrender to the Lord. And if we do not do that, then it's of no use. The purpose is not met. That's Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji, for summarizing the entire class in just a few words. Yeah, that's the essence I also got from these verses. So thank you so much for sharing it again.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for a very, very beautiful class. As always, you always such nice explanation, Prema Rasa. And I don't have anything to add, but I was just thinking, but this is just coming from my head. I don't know. It's almost as if, they say that Krishna created us so he could express his love. And because you cannot express love with one, it has to be with two, at least two. And so that's what I was thinking when he created everything, both the spiritual world and the material world and the marginal living entities. It's almost like we were talking about, it's one thing to know everything. I think we were talking about this in another class. It's one thing to be the knower and the most powerful, the seed of everything, but it's another thing to experience it. And so I somehow feel that all of this is a way for the Lord to experience himself. That's how it feels as I'm reading this. All of it, entire creation, be it spiritual, marginal, material, etc. It's a way for Krishna to experience himself. Because we were talking about that with Srimati Radharani, he created, they separated into two so that he could experience his leelas and the sweetness of her, okay? And because he was blown away by her. And so I feel that everything that he created probably blows him away. Doesn't mean that because it's an experience for the Lord also, because out here it says that before everything was created, his body therefore existed before the material creation. And we know that he's completely transcendental. And this was a way for, I just always ask those questions, we're here, and so what's this all about? And we know that he created this material world, even though he didn't have to, so that we could enjoy. But I somehow feel that all of it was created for his experience of himself. I don't know if that sounds too crazy or too esoteric or what, but that's sometimes how it comes across to me. Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji, for sharing. Yeah, I have not actually heard. So actually what I have heard is that like every living entity has a very specific kind of rasa with the Lord. Like every person has a unique personality, and then has a unique service to render to Krishna. So I have so what I've heard is that, like, if somebody is, uh, let me say it like this, like if there is a devotee who is serving the Lord, let's say as a pujari in the temple, or somebody is dressing kishore kishori, let's say, and then after some time, if the devotee is not able to do this service for the deity, by dressing them, then whoever is has taken that position, actually the service is going on, but it's just not the same, because the previous devotee has a very special connection with Krishna. So each person has a very special relationship with the Lord. So it's not the same, although some other devotee might be performing that service. So even in the spiritual world, everyone has a very unique service to render to Krishna. So in that sense, the experience, like you're saying, is very different between the devotee and the Lord, or it's very unique with each devotee and the Lord.
Mhm. I would say, I mean, he created such variegatedness.
Mm.
He created all of it. And so I'm just saying that he gets to experience all of those unique relationships, you
Yeah.
know, individually, each one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like that he gets to experience himself through the love of his devotees for him. It's very unique, very special the way this is comes across. I don't know. That's what came across to me. Thank you.
Thank you,
Selfish, it's
Mataji.
just could be, I could be way off, but that's the reason he even created anything. He didn't have to, but he was there. He was completely, well, like it says, independent. He didn't need anyone else. He he had everything before he created everything. And so that's one of the ways I felt that he experiences himself through each and every creation that he made. It's really amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I was trying to say.
Smataji, thank you. Actually, it works both ways. Even for the devotee, he's expressing his love by giving the devotee what he's desiring. So, actually, if we love somebody, we want to give them everything they want. So in that way, Krishna is actually expressing his love for his devotees, for all the living entities as a father. He's expressing the love by sharing that, okay, this is what you desire. You wanted to be away from me. You wanted something just very beautiful. And now in the reflection of the spiritual world, he created this entire material creation. But it is a gesture of his love for the living entities.
Yes, Mataji, that's true. Because he is all love. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else would like to share anything?
Thank you, Primarisa, for a beautiful class. And yeah, I really appreciate the way you brought out the essence of how to render devotional service. So the devotee has to um, keep the Lord in the forefront of all of his activities. And it is true, as you pointed out also, that we are very fortunate. We have many, many great souls who are around us, and all of them have mm, given their lives to serve Krishna. So, one of Krishna's most greatest gifts is to give us the association of such devotees. So, when I think about it, like it took me a long time to understand what gift I had. So um, every morning I used to go and serve with Vishwakarma Prabhu, and he came across such a humble man, like he hardly came across as if somebody like he hardly spoke about himself to anybody. He would just by quietly doing his service to Kishori. Like when I look back, his example in my life is so strong. He's very unique um, in his in how he served the Lord. And I feel very fortunate that I had that example in front of me and I had the great opportunity to serve with him. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I was in the class, I was also thinking about him and the service at. Actually, I would also say that, like, there are many devotees who, many people who actually have become devotees because of him, because like they would just come to roll puris, or they would just come to just be around, or I mean, that's how many people in our temple actually started the devotional service. They would just come to volunteer in the temple every Sunday, and then just by washing pots, just being around him in his association, actually, so and eating prasadam, like so many people actually became devotees and now practicing and have become initiated. So yeah, even though like people in the beginning might not really understand the purpose, but even just by associating with good devotees, one actually gets um, inspired, and they get some of their bhakti, looks like. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I was also thinking about him today. So Dheera Shanta Mataji, any final comments from you? Would you like to say, Rohini Mataji, would you like to say something before we end?
Yeah, Dheera Shanta Mataji has been missing for a while now. We are fortunate to have her back today.
Mataji.
Maybe she's driving or something.
Okay, then so we'll end here for today, and then we'll continue again with more verses tomorrow. I'm not sure if I will be able to join tomorrow and day after, because I'm trying to kind of get some time for the exam on Saturday. Then I guess I'll be more regular, but thank you all for being patient with me. We'll end here for today, and then we'll again continue tomorrow. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai,
Jai.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.